Alright, math enthusiasts, buckle up. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of shapes, lines, and angles, and embarking on a quest to answer a question that has puzzled minds for centuries. Who is the father of geometry? Now, before you start picturing a stern-faced man in a toga holding a compass, let me tell you, the answer isn't quite as straightforward. While there isn't one single individual who deserves the sole credit for inventing geometry, there's one name that stands out like a shining star in the constellation of mathematicians: Euclid. So, who was Euclid, you ask? Think of him as the ultimate geometry guru, the Aristotle of angles, the Plato of polygons. Living in Alexandria around 300 BC, he was a Greek mathematician who revolutionized the way we think about shapes. He didn't just invent geometry, but he organized it, codified it, and presented it in a way that made it accessible to future generations. Think of geometry as a messy attic overflowing with interesting objects: triangles, squares, circles, all jumbled together. Euclid came along and meticulously categorized everything, placed each shape on a shelf, and even connected them with elegant proofs and logic. He wrote down his findings in a 13-volume masterpiece called Elements, which became the Bible of geometry for over 2,000 years. Now, don't get me wrong, Euclid wasn't the only kid on the block when it comes to geometry. There were other brilliant mathematicians like Thales who figured out how to measure the height of pyramids using shadows, and Pythagoras, who gave us the famous theorem that still haunts our high school nightmares. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to solve it. But Euclid was the one who took all these scattered ideas and built a monumental structure of knowledge. He was the architect who designed the blueprint for how we learn and understand geometry. He created a system that was so clear, so concise, and so logical that it remained virtually unchanged for centuries. Think about it this way. When you open a geometry textbook today, you're essentially reading the same information that Euclid laid out thousands of years ago. Sure, the language might be a little different, and we might have fancier tools at our disposal, but the core principles, the fundamental theorems, they all trace back to Euclid's genius. So, while Euclid may not have single-handedly invented geometry, he deserves the title of father, because he nurtured it, developed it, and gave it a form that continues to inspire and educate mathematicians to this day. But here's the thing, the story of geometry doesn't end with Euclid. Just like science, mathematics is a constantly evolving field. New discoveries are made, new theories are proposed, and the boundaries of our knowledge are constantly being pushed. So, while we offer our deepest respect to the father of geometry, let's also remember that the quest for understanding the world of shapes and angles is far from over. So, the next time you stare at a perfect circle or marvel at the symmetry of a snowflake, remember the legacy of Euclid and the countless mathematicians who have followed in his footsteps. And who knows, maybe one day, you'll be the one making groundbreaking discoveries in the world of geometry, leaving your own mark on this fascinating and ever-evolving field.